Pare, sino yun? Sino yun? Ano, yung dalawang bata na lang naiwan dun.
Aris, live tayo.
Ngayon,
pag-usapan ba natin?
Oo, 2 minutes pa eh. 2 minutes pa pare.
O sige.
Kaya ano na nasira? Bago lang yan? Bago lang?
Dali, may 10 minutes ako.
May nanghiram sa akin.
Hindi ko alam yan pare.
May nanghiram sa akin dati. Tapos, after a few minutes, bumalik siya. Kasi hindi niya daw kaya yung bike. So, may mga tao naman na
umaamin.
Oo. Kasi
mas okay yun.
Mas okay yun. Diba? May mga
instruction ko sa kanila yun eh. Pag hindi nyo kaya yung bike, hindi nyo abot, huwag nyo pilitin. Mahigpit ako doon.
Tama.
Mga tao ko. Pag wala kang training para sa bike na yun, hindi ko pinapayagan pare.
Ako, marami akong training. Pero tumatanggi rin ako ng motor.
Ako naman tumatanggi ako pare kasi wala akong time. Nakakaya, gamit ka ng gamit tapos wala kang output.
Tama.
Actually, that's the other thing. Tinatanggi ko yung mga motor kasi tamad ako. So, pag nanghiram ako ng motor, it's something that really, I'm super...
Trabaho yun.
Yung exciting sa akin. Diba?
Yung tumigil din akong humiram dahil pinapabayaan ko nga dun sa mga writers ko para ma-experience nila. Hindi yung puro-puro ako eh. Diba? Lalo na yung
sana makasama din tayo sa sa mga Austria, sa
palis na ako. Palis na ako.
Nanghihiram lang ng motor pag may kasamang biyahe.
Si Gilbert, nakasabay ka na yan. Si Gilbert, tumigil pa kami sa gitna ng highway. Alam niya.
Dinamoy mo pa si Gilbert.
Bilad kami sa araw, pare. Naubusan kami ng gas.
Saan yan? Saan?
Naubusan ng gas.
Oo, pareho tayo nun, Gilbert. Kaya rin ako tumigil, paubos na yung akin eh. Pareho tayong motor eh, di ba?
Oo.
Teka, saan yan?
NLEX.
NLEX.
Nakaiga kami sa damuhan.
Grabe. Yung iba kasi nagra-ride lang pag pag international press launch eh.
Kami ni Maki pang local lang. Davao, Cebu. Hindi kami pang Germany.
Oo eh. Di pa sila naniniwala sa Caracas namin eh.
All right, Maki. What do we do first? What do we do second? And what do we do third?
Okay, first, we're gonna... ano ba sa'yo? Chismis mo na.
We introduce the show topic.
Okay.
Then we introduce the guests. And then we go... Ito yung bagong format. We're working on it. 155 plus episodes. I think we've got it. Okay, go Maki.
Ano ulit? Okay, so right now, we're gonna talk about helmets. One of the most important things that we use when we ride. And we have two of the best resources that we have that we can get on the show. And we have Gilbert, one of the most respected industry veteran. He's been to
Dahil
a lot
siya yung pinakamatangkad yata sa mga companies eh. No, may science behind that. Kung matangkad ka, mas respected ka.
Tsaka mas kailangan niya talaga ng helmet. Sa mga pinto, tumatama yun eh. Doon siya nagsimula mag-research about helmets.
Speaking
hindi,
of
pag-usap.
Hey, Gino Rufino. What's up?
Hey, JC. Good evening. So, well, helmets, they're one of the most important things that we use. And hindi naman pwedeng, siguro sa atin, dito sa Metro Manila, hindi naman pwedeng wala kang helmet, di ba? Kasi hulihin ka. Pero we'll talk about details like certification, safety, technology. Kasi ang dami ng helmet brands ngayon eh. Dati kami lang eh. Biglang nagsamputan lahat eh, di ba? Yung mga 3-letter words, kung ano-ano. So, yun. We have Gilbert and we have Earl. Si Gilbert is been in the industry for tagal na rin. He's been with a lot.
He was.
Ha?
As tall as he was, andyan na
As
siya.
tall as he was. So, si Gilbert
When he was your height.
Si Gilbert naabutan ko sa Ducati before. Eh, siya yung pinakamatangkad doon. Uy, si Gilbert!
Height na lang talaga. Si Earl naman pakilala mo. Kanina mo pinapakilala si Gilbert.
Anyway, si Earl naman, I just met Earl recently, pero parang nakikita na kami niyan dati sa mga yung mga tambike na mga pinasara. Saka mga motorcycle events.
Yung mga tambike na pinasara, yung ibig mo sabihin yung mga na-raid na tambike?
Hindi naman.
Saan kayo pupunta?
Hindi tambak yun. Masahihan yun.
Teka. Wait
Hindi.
lang. Maki. Di ba yan?
Huwag mo na daw makikwento yung mga
Huwag
masahihan.
mo ko idamay.
Hindi na mga damay kasi maraming syempre si Earl has been I would say
Nagre-review ng helmet yan.
oh yun. Nagre-review ng helmet yan. Hindi lang local, pati international. Diba?
BTS yan, si Earl. Behind the scenes. Siya yung
Earl is
mastermind behind the Moto deals.
Si Jerry may tinatanong, sino daw yung sumemplang ng demo bike? Tinatanong si Moto Chismis.
Unang tanong, anong bike? Kasi maraming sumemplang na demo bike. Wait, anyway. Balik tayo. Intro. All right.
Okay
Now
na yun. Kanina pa tayo nag-intro eh.
Okay, now we spotlight Gilbert. Hey, Gilbert. What's
Hey,
up?
what's up? Good, I'm good.
Okay.
How are you guys?
Good.
Kamusta?
Glad to have you here.
Likewise.
Hey, Earl. What's up?
Hi. What's up?
And of course, sino pa yung mga kasama natin? Buck Pago.
Siyempre, andito yung pinaka-chismoso. Si Moto Chismis, Aris Ilagan.
Yun.
Ang dami nagtatanong sino yung sumemplang na hindi naman
And
Yeah,
then,
of course.
si Makimoto, ang pinaka magaling na professional rider, test rider.
Hindi ako yun, pare.
Ay, hindi ba ikaw yun? Kala ko ikaw yun eh.
Nako.
And
Hindi-
also,
hindi ako
syempre,
masemplang, eh.
si Iba Bernardo, ang
TED Talk.
Santa Claus ng motorcycling world. Namimigay ng maraming prizes pag Pasko.
Thanks, Buck. And of course, we've got Buck Pago. Coach Buck, Mechanic Buck, Chef Buck. What the Buck? Back to you, Maki.
Back to you.
Highlight
By
mo
the way,
ulit
mawawala ako guys in 10 minutes ha. Meron ako lakad eh.
Ako
May
mawawala
date ako.
rin ako in 10 minutes. May Diablo eh.
Gusto ko na rin mawala. Para may Red Dead Redemption ako eh. Then, highlight natin yung tanong ni Jerry Formoso. Sino yung sumemplang sa demo bike?
kwento ko na. Yung guy na yun, pare, this is very strange na medyo matagal na rin yung Moto Chismis. First time ako nakatanggap na yung i-chismis ko, siya nag-volunteer na i-chismis siya. Pare, this guy, yeah, gulat nga ako. Sabi niya, bro, meron akong pang moto chismis sa'yo. Sabi ko, ano yun? And I know this guy. Kumbaga, very accurate siya eh. So, in-entertain ko. Kasi, hindi lahat ng nagtitip sa akin, in-entertain ko eh. Bina-background check ko, bro. Eh ngayon, yung tumawag siya sa akin, pare, meron ako moto chismis sa'yo. Sabi ko, ano yun? Merong sumemplang na moto journal. Ano, ang unique dito, 2 beses siya sumemplang, the same day, sabi niya. The same bike, the same day. At saka, yung semplang niya, isa sa kaliwa, isa sa kanan. Ba?
Pantay.
Sabi ko, talagang pinantay niya yung gasgas, ha? Sabi ko ganun. Sabi ko, kasi ganito yan, pare. Every time may nagtitip sa akin, tinatanong ko yung name. Para alam ko naman, may peace of mind ako, pare. Halimbawa, di ba, magkaipitan. At least alam ko yung pangalan. Pare, bigla niya sinabi, pare, ako yun.
Umamin.
Sabi ko, pare, lasing ka ba? Hindi ako pare lasing. Sabi ko, normal ako. Sabi niya, hiya daw siya sa mga kasama niya. Pero sabi niya, pati siya nagtataka, ba't siya sumempla? Sabi ko, is it with the bike? Malaki yung bike, pare.
Anong bike?
Medyo yan. Ito kasi, kaya ayoko i-mention yung brand saka yung model eh. Sabi ko, ba't ka sumemplang? Alam ko, magaling ka mag-ride. Medyo season
model.
Sabi ko, hindi, alam ko na yung bike. Sabi ko, is it with the bike o ikaw? Sabi niya, more on me. Sabi niya, nahilo ka? Sabi, hindi ko nga ma-explain, pare. Sabi ko, baka pagod ka. Anyway, siguro, ko na. Ayaw niya sabihin na yung bike ang may problema eh. Pero, sinabi niya, tinanong ko siya, sigurado ka, ikaw, gusto mo ilabas? Pare, sabi niya, kasi parang kakaiba nga, isang araw, ang interval lang 2 hours eh. First bagsak nga, then, nagro-road trip sila. Tapos, after 2 hours, bumagsak siya sa kanan. Sabi ko, maganda angulo yun. Parang pinantay niya yung gasgas. Tapos tinanong ko siya, okay ka lang? Okay lang ako. Pero okay lang ako, bro. Hindi naman ako nasaktan. Ngayon, yung word na moto journal, doon maraming nakalampag. Tayo. Si Earl nakalagay yung moto journal.
Basta ako, helmet online seller ako.
Magagaling yung mga bubuit niya, mahuhuli niyo kung sino yun. Very nice guy. Kaya nga natawa ako eh. Siya pa nag-volunteer ng mga moto chismis eh. Okay ba siya? Pero,
you know what, Aris? For me, that's a sign of someone, that's a great sign, no? Na umamin sila, inarap nila. Shit happens, right?
Yeah.
And, pero, medyo grabe naman yung 2 beses sa isang bike.
Alam mo, siguro umamin na siya sa akin, siya nag-volunteer about the information. Siguro ako baka may time na lalantad siya eh. And I think, pag nangyari yun, na-analyze na niya what happened to him eh. Sabi ko, 2 beses, sumahataw ba kayo? Sabi niya, regular ride, siguro medyo off-road din. Hindi ko rin hindi.
Guys ganito ang take ko dyan. Wala naman masamang sumemplang o bumagsak. Lahat naman tayo sumisemplang or bumabagsak at some point.
Yeah.
Ako, high school marami.
Dyan, tumatayo ka ulit at sinasakyan mo ulit yung motor. At wala kang nasasagasaan na ibang tao.
Alam mo yung kakaiba nga dito.
Diba?
Dalawang side ang binagsak niya eh. Tapos magkadikit halos. Yun doon ako na pare kasi may mga tinatabla rin akong chismis na tinitip sa akin eh. Pero when he told me na magkabilang side, tapos the same day, halos 2 hours lang ang interval, sabi ko kakaiba to. Tinanong ko nga kung lasing siya eh. Hindi ako lasing. But I know him, hindi siya uminom eh.
Guys, kailangan ko na umalis. Maki, pag-usapan nyo na yung helmet mo, ubos oras natin.
Hindi, yan.
Gusto ko rin pasalitain. Itong dalawa. Bye-bye, Bak. Ingat ka.
Bye-bye. Hindi,
Later.
yan talaga eh. As long as insured yung bike, okay lang yun.
Oo.
Diba?
Ay,
Yun
ano
yung
mo, what's strange? Ito na lang, huli na lang ha. Yung one official of that company na nagpairam sa kanya, tumawag sa akin eh, kung sino yun eh. At tapos binulong ko sa kanya. I think he knows din eh. Pero inaano niya, chinecheck niya ako. Siguro, sabi ko, yun eh. Sa inyo yun, sabi ko, but I know the bike's okay eh. Ang iuna kong concern yung tao, okay naman yung tao. Parang
Hindi, yung
strange
importante.
na. Yeah. Oh.
Yun yung importante eh. Kasi lahat tayo, parang it's our job. Parang we're working with these manufacturers to get the word out about yung mga bikes na meron. Pero, ganun talaga eh. Shit happens. Diba? Anyway, so bored na yung dalawa nating tama dito.
Naku,
Oo.
sinabi pala ni
So,
Egay
syempre,
kay
pag
Gino.
nagra-ride ka, diba? Magra-ride ka, yung helmet is very important. Lalo na kunyari, aksidente na ganyan. So, first question ko sa dalawa nating kasama, how do you choose the right helmet? Well, but diba, how do you pick a helmet for starters?
Ay, sandali, Maki. May HDC pa ako dito sa bahay. May may-ari na ba yon? O pwede natin pamigay?
Hindi ko alam eh. Pwede naman
Tignan natin
siguro.
kung mabait yung audience.
Gino, behave.
Oo,
Nagtanong si
Gino,
Gino eh.
behave. Gino,
Kung hindi,
behave.
bigay ko na lang kay Gino. Para tumahimik na.
They wag yan. Dami na
sige,
yung freebies eh.
Dami ng helmet ni Gino eh.
Oo nga eh.
Man, bibigyan mo pa siya ng bago. Anyway, so that's my first question.
Okay.
How do you pick a helmet? Ano ba yung tinitignan yung important details before you
So, mauna
buy
ka.
one?
Ako si Gilbert.
Si Earl. Tanong mo si Earl.
Go ahead, Earl. Go ahead.
Okay. So, when I choose a helmet, first I ask myself, what am I going to use it for? Because honestly, if you use a road helmet, you can go anywhere. Like you can use a standard full face helmet for just about anything. But is it gonna be optimal? So for the first, I asked myself, what am I gonna use it for? So is it a daily helmet? Is it gonna be an off-road helmet? Is it going to be a touring helmet or a long ride helmet or a city helmet lang? But after that, it's more complex. So if I say I want a road helmet, then the choice becomes narrow. So you go from the top. So you go from the top down. You narrow down the choices until you reach your desired helmet, right? And part of that discussion also comes into brands, because not only is brand like for looks and everything, but it's also with regards to your head shape, how the helmet fits you, how the brand designs their helmets, and what is their sort of thought process when making the helmets. So you gotta I trickle it down from there. For the most part, I think most of my helmets are HJC because they fit me well. I like the style. And recently, getting into Shark because it fits my head very well, and the quality is also there. But yeah, Shark. That's how I usually choose it. It's a mix of style, purpose, then fit, and then design. Whichever comes first, it depends on what your purpose is. Because if you buy a helmet to look good, it has to look good. But if you buy a helmet for purpose, like just purpose, and like for let's make this easier.
Grabe.
Price.
May mga
Ready prepared.
Ready
Hindi
prepared.
Maglo-live selling si Earl. Abangan.
So guys, welcome
At
to
the end
my
of the
Shopee
show,
podcast.
Oo.
So yeah, usually this is it. Like if it's for dirt, it has to be for dirt. If it's
Anong
for
helmet yan?
racing, it
Earl,
has to be for
naghahanap ako
racing.
ng bagong dirt helmet. Anong helmet yan?
Tingnan nga.
This is the HJC I-50, the Red Bull graphic.
Ganda.
So this is my dirt helmet.
Ano yung
Yeah.
limited edition?
Not, I think so, yeah. The Gilbert limited ba to? You should know.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it is.
Ganda, oh.
Okay.
Limited production, yes.
Yeah.
Red Bull.
Ayun, so purpose, design, style, brand, and I think after everything na you go into like safety. You do your homework, you do get into the nitty-gritty.
Mm.
And I think the biggest hurdle that I would encounter is safety when it comes to helmets.
Ayan, oh,
Because actually,
safety.
there's an interesting point with all of these helmets, and because standards have changed in the industry right now, and standards are progressing,
Mm.
I think that it's also a good talking point now to touch upon safety and make it an even higher priority because it's not as cut and dry anymore. There's a lot more that goes into what makes a helmet safe and how safe helmets are based on um, your safety standards, ECE, DOT. We'll touch on that later.
Ayan, oo.
Yeah, that's my
Tama.
take.
Pag-usapan natin yung mga rating na yan. Kasi marami pa nagtatanong ano ba yung ECE, ano yung DOT. Pero matagal lang mga nagra-ride to ah. Tapos tanong
Ako,
naman
hindi
na
ko
si
alam.
ano. Hindi ako rin. May, parang balita ko yung ECE, meron siyang update. And alam nitong dalawang to yung update na yun, what ECE eh.
Yeah.
Si Gilbert naman tayo natin. How do you pick a helmet?
Similarly with Earl, no. Usually you'd start out with choosing kung ano yung purpose ng helmet mo, saan mo gagamitin, what kind of riding that you do. And then after that, yeah, likewise, you can also narrow it down to your particular style that you like, the design. But also for especially for our local market, malaking factor yun price, yung cost, no. So that's a big factor for a lot of buyers. That's something to consider, and not all styles of helmets are available at a certain price range. So medyo limited rin for some people. Sometimes yung mga magagandang helmets, magagandang fit, medyo out of reach sa kanila. So they have to settle for some compromise, something a little bit lower price, but still within the budget that they have, and yeah, ganun. And then another thing to consider also, after your style, your purpose, the price, maybe you'd consider also the brand, because not all the brands use the same safety standards per se. Kasi nga, well, globally, syempre, yung mga helmets are supposed to be following a strict set of guidelines. Pero not all helmets arriving into the country are certified the same way.
Wow.
So yun rin. So that might be a factor also for some people.
Paano nangyayari yun? Yung certifications that we have right now is only DOT and ECE. Ano ba yung difference ng dalawa?
Yeah. So we have DOT and ECE. DOT is Department of Transportation. That's a US standard for the helmets. And then we also have the ECE, which is a European standard. Currently, we have from starting last year, the ECE standard was 22.05, and then this year it's been upgraded to 22.06. So all helmets to be sold starting this year was supposed to be 22.06. Okay. So the difference between the 2205, the difference between the 2205 and 2206, actually maraming small details lang. But the major difference is when they went from 2205 to 2206, when they test the helmets, di ba, meron yung mga impact points sa pinaka-shell, outer shell. They went from like around 6 points to 12 points, 12 impact points. So they increased the number of test factors. So yun. So other than that, there are other minor differences then, pero those aren't so critical. Yun yung pinaka major factor. That's why if you'd notice, pag sa mga latest helmets, the ones that are 22.06 standards certified, the shells are usually bigger. They're a lot larger because they have to pass all those impact point testings. So that's a major factor. That's why you'd notice yung mga bagong updates sa mga, even for certain brands, when they updated their current lineup,
Mm.
nag-iba na yung itsura. It's not because of a design standpoint, but it's not because of a aesthetic standpoint, but it's because for the safety standards. You have to pass that safety standard.
Ito may
You
tanong
were
si Michael. Yan. Si
you said
Michael,
something about shells, Gilbert.
Yes.
How important are the shells? No, and then I think Earl said something earlier about how some helmets fit different types of head shapes. No,
Yes.
now that
Yes.
shells are getting bigger, ang alam ko, I hear in reviews and online, may iba't ibang, like the higher end helmets, ang daming shells.
Yeah.
And the more affordable ones, they only have like 2 or 3
oh,
shells.
dalawang shell lang.
Oh, dalawang shell lang. What does that mean?
Well, the
Sure.
shell sizes are basically that's a mold that they use to make the helmet. So for a certain line or certain model, they have so you have usually the helmets range from extra small to XL or double extra large. So the lower price helmets, they usually have to budget their molds. So for like a certain model, they only have 2 or 3 shell sizes, and then they only adjust the actual size of the helmet by adjusting the padding or the liner inside. So like say a extra small and a small helmet shell uses the
Same.
same shell, but they use different thicknesses of padding.
Tama.
So those usually the higher end helmets, they have more shell sizes, which means the they can adjust the size of the manufacturing mismo, the manufacturing process. They can make it as tight as fit to the head shape as possible without having to compromise by making it extra thick padding or extra thin padding.
Mm. Yeah,
This is why a
dati,
lot of small, mga maliit na riders, yung payat, yung maliit,
Yeah.
parang mukhang bobblehead sa unang helmet nila. 'Di ba?
Oo nga.
Parang kasi
Yeah.
you have
Laki, di ba?
limited you have limited shell sizes. But if they had probably gotten something a little bit more high end, they
may
might
choices
be
sila.
smaller, may choices sila.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Galing.
Actually, with some of the helmets that we are given to test, also, we've encountered some that only have one shell size across the size range.
Huh?
So from your small all the way to your extra extra large, it's all the same shells.
Hindi yung
Yeah.
pads nun, pag small, sobrang kapal.
The
Sobrang-
pads, the interior, there are many layers in the helmet. So you have the shell EPS, and then you have the interior pads. So usually, what gets bigger is the EPS, and then the pads also.
Alam
So
niyo ba?
that is what helps makes it fit. But then it's also another topic of conversation to talk about how big helmets are getting, or how if a bigger helmet is indeed safer. Yeah.
Pag malaki ang ulo mo, kailangan malaking helmet. Alam mo dati, bumili ako sa Tokyo. Shoei. Bumili ako ng Shoei. Tapos dun sa auto dealer, parang nagsukat ako ng medium, pero sobrang sikip. Tapos sabi nung sales lady sa akin, pwede ko daw palitan yung pads. So I just, do you think dealers right now should offer that same service na kunyari,
Hmm.
kasi binigyan ako ng mas manipis na cheek pad di ba? So do you think it works?
To the brands that I've talked to so far, it's harder on a business front, according to them, because for for a lot of big box motorcycle stores abroad, especially in the US and in Japan, they offer that service because the brands are either homegrown or they have a lot of stock and they have a lot of stock keeping capability. But given that the market here for gear is mostly low end because of just the circumstance of the country, the
Uh,
what ends up happening is that most people just buy whatever's on the shelf and then they don't really care much about customization. But in the more developed nations where the superstores have good inventory keeping and they have all the spare parts along with them, it becomes much easier for the customer from the retail standpoint in order to buy those pads. at least that's what I've experienced in Japan when I bought my helmet there. They offered to customize because it was a local brand. It was a local brand to them, and they had a lot of pads and custom fitting. Because
Uh,
also, it's in my experience, I've had helmets that have small to medium sized heads, so the crown area is small, but the
mm,
cheek pads
or
are
fit.
they felt like they were for a large. So I'm
Mm.
pulling that example right now.
Ano
This is
yan?
my Arai.
Oh.
It's my Arai Astro
Uh,
GX.
mm,
So when I bought this helmet, I actually was in between trying to get pads for it, but they didn't have stock, unfortunately, so I had to get off the shelf. But how
mm,
this helmet fits on my head is the crown area is perfect, but
mm.
the cheek pads, they're a little loose
Fit.
because I
Loose,
have
oh.
I have a thin face.
Pogi
I have
yung
a
face
very
mo.
thin face. Ano, mas mas pogi si Gino Rufino. Shout out Moto Delivery. Gino, tumahimik ka na dyan sa comments,
Eh,
ha?
tsaka kanina you've mentioned they're not very particular with yung small details
Mm,
like yung cheek pads, yung
yeah.
crown area. What do they go after? Aesthetics, graphics, no graphics, or brand?
Actually, on the area of fit, if we're going off of fit first, the first thing that, at least when I talked to sila Jason Te of Triumph JT,
Mm,
uh, a lot of the riders that buy helmets from HJC actually go up a size because HJC has a tendency to be snug in the cheek area, which is correct in my opinion for most helmets. Like it should be at least a little bit snug. But what most riders do is that they have their template, which is their old helmet, which became ill-fitting because the pads sort of worn out. And then that's what they got used to. They strap on an HAC, it's really tight. They think that
mm.
it doesn't fit them, and they get
Oh,
one size up because of the cheek
oh,
pads.
oh,
Now, the tendency there is that they end up getting a crown area that is too big for them,
oh,
but the cheek pads is similar to what their old helmet felt like.
oh,
That's how Jason explained it to me. So
oh.
in my eyes, I think it's more important that this area fits first and then consider cheek pads after, because you can replace this, you can't
Mm,
replace this,
tama.
your crown area.
Maraming magandang tanong si Gino, but may outline kami and we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
Actually, before we jump on to the next question, gusto ko lang malaman, ano yung mga helmet nyo? What
Mhm.
helmet do you use the most?
Yep.
I'm just
Yan.
curious. Yung
Hirap
pinakamadalas
nun.
yung gamit.
Tanongin natin lahat, pati si Aris.
Oo. Oh, ikaw, Aris, ano yung pinakamadalas mong ginagamit na helmet?
Pare, I'm a big fan of Shoei. Tapos, siguro meron akong tatlong Shoei, tapos
Wow.
isang Arai, tapos I have Nex, tapos meron din akong, I think I have Jilly na bigyan din ako. Pero yung
Pero
iba,
ano yung pinakamadalas mong ginagamit?
Shoei. I have adventure helmet na Shoei and pang sport touring. I like the fitting of Shoei, the weight, the design. Tapos, ang alam ko, dependable siya. I feel safe with Shoei. In fact, the
Mm.
accident I had in 2017, yung horrible accident,
Ay, oo.
that was the Shoei that saved me. I bought another one, di ba na gas-gas yung suit ko noon. I bought another one na parehong-pareho niya. Nag-iba lang yung kulay. So I believe in the product. Ayun ang maganda doon eh. At tested na pati. I don't mind paying. Basta alam ko safe ako.
Oo.
Gilbert.
Yeah. Well, for daily commutes, since my commute's relatively short, less than 4 kilometers one way, usually heavy traffic. So naka-open face ako because I ride a scooter. Weekends, if it's a long ride, I'd go full face for sure. And then sometimes kung adventure bikes or other style of riding, I'd probably go with an ADV helmet. Yeah. But then again, I don't personally prescribe to having a lot of helmets any one time because I'm sure I get to wear all of them as much as I'd want to. So what I tend to do is within 2 years, I replace the helmet. So instead of
Two
waiting for it to
years.
expire, yeah, because usually I find that within 2 years from my type of riding, within 2 years, it maluwag na talaga. So instead of getting new cheek pads, new headliners, upgrading the foam, and all of that, I just replace it with a new helmet. For one, I make sure that the shell is new, di ba? So usually kasi if you leave it, especially if you leave your helmet outside, di ba? Kung naarawan yan,
Oh,
accelerated deterioration rin sa shell and sa EPS yan eh.
oh.
And then if you ride it in the rain, nababasa yung
Wait,
cheek
wait, wait.
pads, so
Nakapila
nasisira rin
yan sa
yun.
notes ni Maki.
Ah,
Balik tayo sa unang tanong.
easy ka lang. Ilan?
Sige,
So-
sige.
Alright.
Excited.
Alright.
Hot na hot si Gilbert. Galit na
Yun,
galit.
yun.
Ah!
Oo nga eh. Let's go! Maki,
Sige.
ikaw, ano yung pinakamadalas mong ginagamit na helmet? At bakit?
Honestly, bell qualifier.
Wow!
Kasi, nagulat ka, no? Hindi, I mean,
Oo nga eh.
bell
Dami-dami mong
qualifier.
helmet. Yung bell qualifier pa yung pinakamadalas mong gamit, ha? And that's an
Oo.
entry-level full face.
Oo. Kasi, I look at the brand and the quality of the helmet. Diba? Kasi, tsaka yung warranty. For me, that's very important. You don't just get any helmet out there. Kasi, dati when we're selling, very particular ako sa branding and nakikita ko yung saan siya ginagamit. Diba? Kasi ako, daily rider ako. So, yung qualifier for me is one of the most comfortable ones that you can get out there. Plus, okay naman yung okay naman yung fit sa akin. And it's very affordable. So, I have 10 helmets. Kaya galit na sa akin yung asawa ko nandun. Nakalagay lahat dun sa taas.
Alright, Earl. And may dagdag ako ng tanong kay Earl. Rank your
Rank
helmets from best to worst. Special request ni Gino. Alright, so what helmets do you use most of the time?
It's hard because I give them all equal treatment. I try to at least, so I can. It's like, well, in the world of tech, it's like it's like RAM. It's like an SSD. Like sort of, you want a lot of like chips so you can like distribute the load. So I kind of do the same thing for my helmets. But the one that I've been,
Grabe.
it depends on the.
Napaka-political yung answer.
It depends on the time of. It depends on the weather, rather. More often than not, it depends on the weather.
Hindi ba depende sa
So-
bike na gamit mo?
Pwede din, but sometimes I just don't care. It's too hot to think about kung pogi o hindi. Actually, last month, I used this a lot
Ano yan? Okay.
because ventilation. You can't beat this in ventilation. And it was hot. Like, it's really, really hot. But I find that every helmet that I have is like for a particular purpose. So if I find myself, like, on the racetrack or on a medyo long ride or, Forma or whatever, the Alpha one is what I'd choose on those. But if it's like for touring, I go with the Shark.
Mm.
I go with the Shark. Off-road, syempre, that one. And then for like casual city rides or medyo long rides, then also this one, the Arai Astro GX. Really depends, eh. 'Cause-
Pang casual niya, aray.
Okay. So,
Aray.
It just
tanong ka,
depends. It
Gino.
depends.
Teka, si Iba, ikaw.
Wait, tanong ka rin kay Gino. Gino, please list what helmet you think Earl uses most. Both comment and share namin.
Do you know
Ako,
what's the one that you see me most in? That's yan na lang.
Ako, daily rider ako. So, what I use for my daily ride, and what I use siguro mga 80% of the time is my cheapest helmet. Kasi, again, like Gilbert, lapit lang, 'di ba? Maximum 9 kilometers to Makati kung pupunta ako sa office or 3 kilometers to Green Hills. So ito yung gamit ko.
Ano yan?
Yung LS2
Carbon
na ano,
body.
pero carbon fiber siya. Kasi Japorms eh.
Akala ko
Pero-
magaan. Japon to.
So you'll see me in this 80% of the time. But I kind of need to because we're looking at it's about 4 years old na. So I'm gonna replace it. I have the exact same line in an enduro, yung pang off-road. And I like
I
using
saw you
that
with that.
in the city also because like Earl, you got a lot of fresh air, pero your face is protected. So kung medyo
Yes.
magsa-skyway ako or alabang, I'll use that. Pero traffic pa rin, 'di ba? Presko.
And
Pero-
classy.
Ano yan?
The Turatec,
Ayun, no?
Aventuro.
Ganda.
Also carbon fiber.
Why,
The funny
why are all
thing
your
is-
helmets carbon?
The
Mayabang
cheaper
yan
the helmet, the cheaper the helmet, the more I use it. The last time ginamit ko to is I think nung nag-Cebu tayo, Maki. So-
dapat, magaan naman yan eh. Ba't tayo magamitin araw-araw?
Kasi tamad ako eh. And then, I bought this because they gave us one to give away.
Ano yan?
The next.
The next.
Oh my
They
God.
gave us one to give
ganda.
away. And Camille Lou won it. Inggit na inggit ako. And then since may track days tayo coming up, Maki, sabi ko wala akong pang track na helmet.
Wow.
Hindi ko pa nagamit to.
Gamitin
So-
natin.
Kailangan na natin balikan si Coach Joey. So ako, really, the cheaper the helmet, the more I will use it.
Okay.
The more expensive. Nakapatong lang dito.
Ayun, so lahat tayong daming helmet. Pag-usapan naman natin yung expiry. Kasi,
Mhm.
di ba? Parang meron tinatawag na production date at expiry date. Can you tell us the difference between the two? Ayan, sabi ni Gino, 5 years lang ba talaga maximum?
Ito yung eat by date and sell by date.
Oh. Okay ba yun eh? Gilbert.
From Gilbert muna.
Production date, when the helmet was actually produced, manufactured in the factory now. There's no specific expiry date. There's no sell by. Well, there is technically a ideal sell by date. So it means in helmet after it's produced, you'd want the most effective. The fresher it is, the better it is, diba? Pero you wouldn't want the helmet to be several years old before it's used, especially considering if it's sold locally. Problema kasi sa mga locally sold helmets in storage. You don't know how it's been stored sa mga
Yan.
facilities where it's being sold. So yun yung
Mismo.
major factor. So it could be a new helmet, but if it's stored in a really humid and hot building, then mas accelerated in wear niya. So that's also something to consider also.
Tapos, sige. Earl, how about you, Earl?
I have there is a number actually that's thrown around. There are two numbers, so it's 7 and 5. So 7 from date of production, 5 from the first ride. So that's what a lot of 7 from the date of production, and then 5 from the first ride. So
Okay.
if, for example, whichever comes first, right? So if your helmet is 7 years old, but you rode with it starting on the second year after it was made, then that should be okay. Provided that Gilbert brings up an very important topic of storage. Because I've encountered a few storage areas that are super hot. They're not well ventilated and all.
Katabi ng
And-
basurahan.
Yeah. So those are questionable. Perhaps for the Philippines, I would actually put it on more straight on 5 years, regardless of production date or use by date. because it's also easier to track it. Like if I were to ask any of you, when was the first time you rode with each of your specific helmets?
Depende sa
Nakasulat lang sa
lakad.
ilalim.
Is it
Just
written
kidding.
in your diaries?
Parang like, uy,
Do you
galing.
know?
Yeah, depende sa lakad. Uy, daming
Yeah.
doon, popormahan doon.
So, so I think that the industry standard is if you're meticulous about keeping your helmet in check and whatever, it's just the standard is 5 years. It's been 5 years for a while because EPS foam hasn't really changed in the
Deteriorate.
last. Yeah, chemical makeup of EPS is expanded polystyrene, so it's been the same for many years now. It's just that the thickness has changed, the densities have changed, but eventually it's gonna deteriorate the same way as other EPS. So the industry standard has been 5 years. I say it's still 5 years. Choose what you want to believe, but uh, it depends on how much you ride with it, and that brings in that is why I said earlier that I spread the load between all of my helmets because I want each of them to last longer than they can. And the more you ride with a helmet, actually, regardless of if it's newer or older, it's actually gonna deteriorate it more. Like for example, I have my Alpha 11, which is my old one, which is my old daily helmet, but
Pwede na
worse
ibenta
condition.
yan.
Well, di naman. I still use it. It's in worse condition than my HJC i10 because I
kilala
use
ako
this less. I use this much less than my Alpha 11. So it's a matter of how much you use it also. And to Gilbert's point earlier about 2 years, yeah, I think that's also true. Like every year or maybe even like I don't know 6 months, I get a new helmet or I buy a new helmet, and I factor it into the rotation. So
Wait, may
most of my
tanong ako.
Yeah.
Going with every 2 years, that's pricey. Now here's
Yeah.
my if you look at Tunay na Rider, lahat ng mga post about sales, ako yun. Ako yung nagsishare.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, uy, sale ngayon sa sa HJC or sale na sa
Demonyo.
Ride Manila o sa Moto World. Hinahatak ko si
Demonyo.
Maki. And bibili ako ng discounted helmet. Then my concern now is these helmets, their usable life, because they've been their previous years or a couple years ago, their models from a couple years ago, their usable life, their safe life, is much more diminished. So when you're paying 20% off for a 3-year-old helmet, dapat 50% off na.
Kasi
Yeah.
50% na lang lifespan niya eh.
Oo, kasi 50% off na 50% na yung lifespan niya.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's also what I tell my friends if there's a motorcycle helmet for sale.
Yan.
Always check first.
Production
Always
date.
check first the production date. Now, it's up to you if you want to trust the 7-year rule. That's up to your discretion. But that provided that the sale is being conducted by a reputable retailer who has the storage facilities for it. It's the same. It's up to you if you want to follow the 7-year rule. Because I've had friends who've purchased helmets on sale that are, let's say, nearing the 2-year mark. I've even purchased a helmet myself that was manufactured in 2020, earlier last year. So it's the same kind of thing with the brand. You trust the retailer as well to have kept the helmet properly, and you also trust the brand that their materials will hold up.
Nako, kailangan pakita ko sa wife ko yung episode na to. Shopping tayo next week.
Sabi ni Samir Adona, may comment siya. A lot of Pinoy riders are not informed properly in how to buy a helmet. Example, mindsets. Dahil magandang graphics, binili dahil endorsed ng vloggers. What do you think about these guys? Ba't ka natatawa, Earl?
Wait lang. I talked to Gilbert before. Si
Tinamaan ka.
Si Gilbert, parang si Gilbert said something to me. Natuwa din ako kay Gilbert dati. I was just thinking of that.
Oh, sige, throw Gilbert under the bus. Say it.
Ano yan?
Gilbert, here's the
What did I
bus.
say? What was it?
I
No,
don't
syempre, kanya-kanyang marketing yan eh. For the brands. That's one of their ways to sell it. They have to get endorsers. They have to get different media personalities, influencers, bloggers, to market their products. That's their way of getting their market share. Syempre, they can always use their safety certifications, the quality of the helmets, quality of the manufacturing. But then, end of the day, the only way to get the volume that they need to keep their business alive would be to sell more. And the best way is to do, all these marketing activities. So, kailangan talaga yan. It's part of the business. Yeah.
Earl, ikaw, Earl. Ay, magsasalita.
Yeah, pero I know these two guys, si Gilbert
Yeah.
and Earl.
I mean,
Saan ba nanggaling tong sobrang dami ng helmet na I would say okay, very affordable sila, but parang bumaha bigla yung market eh. And now, sila pa yung maingay, no? Yung maraming endorsers, maraming activities na ginagawa ng pag-giveaway nila, parang points na sinasabi nila sa house blessing. Yung helmet.
Aris, yung mga helmet brands, parang yung sa Pinas mo lang nakikita. Di ba? Parang carry mobile ang helmets.
Yeah. Nakakapagtaka eh. I mean, may idea kayo saan galing yan? And, I mean, bakit ganun nakakalusot yung mga yan na, I mean, alam na natin na iba dyan, bagsak sa rating, pero nandiyan pa rin eh. So tell us guys, baka may Moto chismis kayo about this. Para, they're dominating the scene eh. Actually, yung mga branded na binanggit natin, wala naman silang mga campaign eh. But this, di ba yung mga so-called affordable ones, sila may ingay at saka sila yung, I mean, parang ang word ko doon, 3.25 eh, sakali eh.
Yeah.
But we know their quality, di ba? Gilbert, tingin mo, ba't biglang bumaha ng ganyan?
Well, several reasons. Pero syempre, a lot of people want, especially during pandemic, di ba? Nung nag-pandemic or after pandemic, lumaki bigla yung population ng mga motorcycle riders. Everybody wanted to get out of the house. So everybody started riding. Not everybody could afford the high-end helmets. So, nang nangyari, syempre, mga savvy businessmen there, they started bringing in, lower quality helmets by volume, by the container load. And then, syempre, they want to get a bigger piece of the pie. And syempre, how do you get noticed in this, very, very tightly fought market? Papapansin ka talaga. So, the only way for them to do that is, to get all these media hype, diba? Or publicity from these from yung kanilang marketing activities. So, yun na nga. The problem there is, maraming nagpaparating rin without proper certification, proper safety standards, napapalusot pa rin nila. Actually, honest, sa totoo lang, marami dyan nagbebenta sa bangketa, you'll see them with fake ICC stickers. I mean, alam na natin na nangyari yun eh. Pero we can't help it because people are still buying eh. So, mahirap pigilan kung meron nagtatangkilik sa kanila. No, as much as we want,
I have a suggestion. Kasi tayo, we buy helmets. Ang best endorser para sa akin you see them racing sa lalo na yung mga professionals. You see the brands they use, di ba? Ngayon, itong mga pipitsugin na to, yung sabi natin very affordable, para let them use it. Yung mga endorsers, para let them use it sa Philippine Superbike Championship. Tingnan natin kung matibay yung helmet.
Would they dare to use it?
I don't think they will use it. Tama ba?
Kasi ako, may na-chismis ako sa isang malaking event. Nung may cameras, ito yung suot. Nung umandar na, palit tayo.
Chismis yan.
Meron. Meron pang Moto Chismis, di ba? Meron na endorser ng certain brands. Pinopromote yung helmet. Pero pagdating sa racetrack, may suot na helmet, brand nila. Pero actually, ibang helmet yun. Mas premium helmet na nilagyan
Wow!
ng branding nila. Di ba? May ganong storya, may ganong kwento.
Oh my God!
Ganun kalala, ah. Ganun kalala. Wow. Yeah.
Nilalagay lang ng sticker, Aris.
Wow.
Nagbabaya. Ano MotoGP yun eh. May chismis din
Yeah.
yan sa MotoGP eh. Tapos, they just stuck a different sticker and paid royalties to the
Wow!
brand.
I mean,
That-
that would be fair. Siguro kung yung brand ng helmet nasa racing suit nila. Pero wag yung sa helmet, di ba? Wag mo ilalagay sa helmet. Kasi may brand yung helmet eh.
No,
Yun
but to
nga
counter,
Ano talaga,
but to
for
counter
me,
that first, it's actually past
false
now
advertising.
because but it's actually a past issue now because there's new standards that came about after a few years already of that proliferating. So yeah, it's actually it's blown over a little bit because of the new standard the newer standard FIM, but it's still like urban legend and chismis here, diba?
Di ba? Anyway,
And also, may I mention this, ha? I've met a lot of riders, no? Iba, barkada ko pa eh. But pinagmamalaki nila, ang dami nilang helmet, oh. Around 20. Gulat ako eh. Sabi ko, buti pinapayagan ko yung misis niyo, marami kayong helmet. But if you would check on the helmets, yun yung mga low quality helmets. And I didn't see a single one na talagang quality helmet. Sabi ko, anong trip nito? Parang nangungulekta ka ng tsinelas. Sabi ko, ba't hindi ka lang bumili na bumili ka ng dalawang branded, di ba? And you feel safe pa eh, di ba? Kaysa iyayabang mo, nasa rack mo, wow, pare, dami ko helmet, oh. Pero titingnan mo, pare, sabihin ko, pare, basura yung helmet. Because I know, hawakan mo pa lang, you would see the, yung leash. Pare, poor quality.
Pag-usapan na natin how you can tell it's a quality helmet.
Yan.
oh yan. Sige.
Gilbert,
Sige.
Kaya ako, in relation to
Kasi-
that, yung ano tawag dito? Yung affordable helmets, ano yung tamang basihan or yung price range? What are you looking at na papasa sa quality mo?
Mm.
Yun. Kulit ni Gino.
Nasasaktan si Gino ata. Ang daming tanong.
Sige, Gilbert. What do you think?
No, then again, it boils down to the safety standards, no? So safety certification ang unang tinitingnan ko usually. So that's what I recommend to people buying their helmets, no? You look at the safety standards first. Year of production, and then safety standard certification. And then from there, you choose, well, then again, yung budget, medyo relative yun eh. Because it also depends on the brand.
Mm-hmm.
So meron na pamahal, not because it's of a higher standard, but if it's made in Europe and then it's shipped over here, it's more expensive than if it's an Asian built helmet and then it's brought over by neighboring countries.
Okay.
No? So yun.
So, ganito. Lahat ng brands, I think, right now, may mga entry level eh. Di ba?
Okay.
I think HJC has, sabi ko, Bell has qualifier. And then
C10,
HJC,
HJC.
C10. And then Shark, I think, they have Riddle. I think they have Riddle.
Riddle, yes. But then for now,
the
ones that you can get here is the Spartan RS.
Would you rather get an entry level brand, entry level helmet from an internationally recognized brand, or something that's how would I say, hyped in the local market?
Duh. Like what?
I mean, bakit? Why are they losing in that segment? Yun yung question ko.
I think here's the thing. I think that wording there is: would you get an expensive brand from a local an expensive helmet from a local brand or a cheap helmet from an international brand.
Yun.
It,
Okay.
yeah, so if it's like, for example, if one local brand has like a helmet that's worth like 7,000,
Mm.
then the international brand has an entry level helmet for like 7,000. Which do you go with, right? Like, do you get the top of the line from the local brand, or do you get the entry level from the international brand? And my answer there would be entry level international, because for you can go as high as, let's say, 50,000 or more for a helmet, but that's the top of the line of the top of the line, and they follow a different purpose per se. It's been those helmets like this one here, like the Alpha One has been designed for the racetrack,
Mm.
and it's been designed with the FIM standard.
Mm.
So in that regard, it's worth a lot more because the R&D that went into this helmet was a lot more. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of the materials cost tons more. There's a lot more that goes into a helmet. Now, the other thing is you also sort of considering, like, oh, shut up, Gino. You're sort of considering whether or not it's what its purpose is, because purpose can also give the helmet a lot more cost to produce and to manufacture, whereas a road helmet like this one, the I-10, it's an entry level helmet for the US because it's also it's rated DOT, but it's actually rated Snell. So see
Mm.
that with an entry level helmet like this, you also get an
Magkano ba
additional
yan? Magkano yan? Magkano?
certification. Gilbert, mga 7,000 to, di ba? 7.
Yeah, around that much. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for me, I think still I'd go with this. That even if it's cheaper, even if it's more affordable, it it still has the same quality of materials that the brand should be known for. It still has the certifications that the brand can afford to certify it for, right?
I'm shocked there Hermes that fits his ego. And yeah, that's a good point, di ba? Ako, meron pa ako isang tanong sa inyo. Do you...
Wait, balik na tayo sa standards.
Oh,
What are
sige.
the standards and that people are looking for, that they should look for in a helmet? How do you know it's a safe helmet?
Well, when I review stuff, it's usually ECE 2206, and that's pretty much gonna tell me that it's totally safe. Icing on the cake, there's FIM. For me, there's in my collection, in my array of helmets, I
Collection.
would prefer, yeah, collection. I'd prefer ECE 2206 to be to be a part of everything.
Yep.
But of course, it's not perfect. Like, there are some 2205s in here that I still trust because the brand is what carries the rating more than the rating itself if it's like outdated. So
Yeah.
for the most part, it's like the newer helmets that I have should always be ECE 2206. So like the Shark Spartan RS is the first ECE 2206 with a drop down visor and whatever. Like, all of these helmets are coming out with new standards now. And I think it's also important to note that you have to evolve. The riders have to evolve with the standards also. So, Jadrian Chua asks, FIM safety close. Yeah, that's
Actually,
why I
the
said, yeah,
yes, again.
icing on the cake. Yeah,
Actually,
icing on the cake.
FIM
FIM.
is not really a safety standard. It's a regulatory standard for it to be certified to be used in FIM sanctioned events. No, so it's not technically a safety. It's not, that's if you say if it's FIM certified, it means you can use it some FIM sanctioned races or racetracks. But it doesn't mean that it's higher than the ECE 22.06.
Yes.
Basically,
Gilbert,
it's the same
can you
standard.
explain first what FIM is?
Yeah, FIM is a motorsports organization, diba? Handling all the major motorsports events in the world. No, so they have their own guidelines for their own safety mga mandates nila. So like the equipment that they use has to be also FIM certified from their helmet, their suits, their gloves, their boots, everything that they use. So to be eligible to race in their events, all the equipment that you're going to be using has to be FIM certified. So
Kung sa
it
Pinas
doesn't.
yan, hihirit ako na racket
Wala.
yan. Di ba? Binabayaran nila yung sticker.
Meron naman tinatawag PIM certification eh. Martilyo lang ang gamit.
Bago yan, ano yan?
PIM.
PIM?
Philippine International
Motorcycle, motorsports.
Motorsports. Martilyo lang ginagamit for rating.
Ibang safety testing 'yun. Mas rigorous 'yun actually, mas matinding testing 'yun.
Yeah, but the
Analog
argument
nila, analog testing.
Wait, I just checked my helmets and they're all ECE 2205. Does that mean I have to go shopping next week?
Yun, no?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
If you're Earl, you can
Yes.
buy a helmet every week.
Really?
No,
Hindi,
no, no,
balita
no.
ko, bagong tindahan sa sa
Wait.
Cubao.
Wait, before that, actually, iba, for me, 2205 is fine. Like, it's fine enough. You don't need to buy a 2205 helmet, right? You don't need to buy a 2206 helmet right away the moment that you see that, oh, it's 2205, it's outdated, But the thing is, it sort of plays into what you can get at the time also. Because if you are a stickler for safety, yes, then fine, yes, buy a new helmet by all means. But the helmet on your head is no less safer just because a new ECE standard came out. It's just that this is just gonna be better moving forward. So it doesn't make it obsolete. I mean, there's no like software update that you buy for your helmets anyway. It's just that the standards change. They just want to make it better for riders. It's no less safer considering deterioration. But if you want to buy a new helmet, I always recommend that you go ECE 2205 straight. 2206, sorry. 2206 straight. Yeah. Because it's the newer standard. You're going to get more for your money from it.
So yun yung latest 2206. What about Sharp? You heard about Sharp testing?
Sharp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Sharp is the most stringent testing standards na ngayon, no? But not all the helmet manufacturers conform to it or apply for that certification.
Why?
Well, of course, there's cost involved in getting certified for certain certification. There's cost involved for them, so it depends also if they're the countries where they're trying to sell their products to don't require that strict of a standard. Then most helmets manufacturers won't go to the extent of spending more for that.
I see. Okay. Oh. Tama. Pati Snell. We also have Snell, di ba?
Yeah. Dati Snell ang pinakasikat, di ba? Snell and DOT before or ANSI rating pa nga dati.
Okay.
So yun.
But yeah.
Going back, ito yung pang-araw-araw ko. Right? And I'm down to get a new one, a new replacement helmet. What again, I'm using like a Honda Cub or an electric scooter. What should I be looking for a daily rider, 9 kilometers, rush hour, small bike helmet?
Magkano
Ruby.
muna budget mo? Oh, yun. Belt. Ano? Quart, pare.
Ruby.
Okay, so
You can also go with Naka. You can also, I mean, there are a lot of options, Iba.
No,
But you have to
okay,
figure out the
teka
price
lang.
point.
sandali. There's also a lot of peace of mind in having a cheap helmet, a cheap, safe helmet, right? I'm saying because if you're gonna use it and it gets scratched up, you put it in the underseat compartment, hindi mo inaalagaan masyado. So I mean, for me, there's a lesser stress in having a daily rider safe helmet. So what should I be looking for in something that I use on a scooter? I use for commuting in the daytime. should I be using one of these?
Depende sa ride style mo.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a, actually personal preference rin yan. And secondly, it's how safe do you want to be? What do you consider to be safe, diba? Do you feel safe wearing a open face helmet? Do you feel safer wearing a full face helmet? And then also keep in mind, no, when you say cheap helmets or high price helmets, if they pass the same certification standards, no, basically they're both safe. They're just as safe as as can be. You can have a 7,000-8,000 peso helmet with a ECE 2206 rating, and then you can have a 60,000 helmet with an ECE 2206 rating. Both of them pass the same safety standards. So technically, you'll be safe with both helmets. But then again, the safest helmet is the one that's on your head. So if you're not gonna wear it, if you don't feel comfortable wearing it, diba? You have to get the most comfortable helmet that you'd really want to wear all the time. So that's one factor also to consider.
Ito si Gino, may serious question daw siya. If you crash your
Sa
helmet
wakas.
has minor scratches, is that still safe to use? Earl.
It depends on how hard the crash was.
Sabihin natin,
Tip
high
over.
speed. Tip
Hindi.
over.
If you crash, or another question, okay. This helmet, sinabit ko multiple times on the side view mirror,
Okay.
and then it falls.
Yeah.
And
Is
then
it?
it falls.
Should I throw it away?
No. Remember that the shell is hard. The shell is hard. It's meant to be strong, right? The paint. If you see scratches, paint is expendable. It's meant more for
Bawal.
design than anything. So as long as the integrity of the shell, meaning that it's not cracked or anything, is fine, then great. The shell is good. But now you're concerned about the EPS. If you drop your helmet on the floor without weight inside, meaning without a head inside, it's fine because the helmet will flex, the shell will take the impact. There's nothing to compress the EPS from inside. That it's okay to use the helmet again if you drop it from the bike. Like
Pag
So
Ako, I don't.
nabitawan,
Yeah.
Oh, Gilbert.
yeah, like
Sa akin naman, I think of it the other way around now. Usually, if I drop the helmet, suppose I keep it on the motorcycle seat and it falls and hits the ground on the side or on the. Usually, I'd replace it. One, because you don't know how badly damaged the shell is. It's not only the EPS that's taking care of the safety, no. It's the shell. You won't be able to notice it visually. Pero if there's micro cracks inside, the next time you're in a real accident, that might be the failure point where the shell's gonna crack open. So personally, I wouldn't take that compromise. I wouldn't take that risk. I'll just replace it. That's why I usually end up buying a helmet every 2-3 years instead of keeping it longer. Even though it looks clean, it looks shiny. I'm more particular with the safety and the integrity of the shell or of the helmet rather than cosmetics.
yeah.
Crap, shopping na ako.
ito, mawawala na tayo ng oras. Pero dami pa natin pwedeng pag-usapan eh. Sige, tingnan part 2, no? Pag-usapan
Oo.
naman natin yung mga high-end. Di ba? Mga high-end helmet.
High-end.
O si Earl yun.
Bakit ang dami bumibili, di ba? And sa pag-usapan natin dito na sabi natin yung ECE rating 2206 parehas lang naman yung di ba? Why still people buy it? I'm confused.
Why dude? It's why would you buy an expensive helmet over a cheap helmet with the same safety rating?
To show that you guys are poor
Ano ba
and
yan?
I can afford
What?
100,000 helmet that I have to throw away after 5 years. Right?
Yung Ruby, I
That's
think
why I would buy it.
BOT yata yung Ruby eh.
It's the same reason
Yeah.
why people have expensive watches, right?
Yeah, but you don't throw away a watch every 5 years. You don't retire a watch every 5 years. You have it serviced. You change the battery. You keep using that thing. You
Okay.
don't throw it away.
Ang dami pa nating pwedeng tanong eh. Diba? Pero
Okay.
ito yung most important question for this night. Yung dami nagsasabi, how yung ang tawag dito? The helmet that you buy should be relatable to how much is your head worth. How much is your head worth? Laging sinasabi yan, dapat
Yeah.
most expensive. What do you think about it?
How much is your head worth?
Ako,
Even
mahal yung
in
hula.
auto race, yeah, even in auto racing, that's actually a question that is asked because I've had friends who race cars on track, and then some of them have Arise, Stilos, and Zamps and whatever. But the guys that are just starting out, they have LS2s, and you hit it sa kanila is how much your head worth, right? Also for motorcycles, it's definitely there. Um, I feel that statement is kind of misleading in a way that how much is your head worth is like a bit elitist because there are affordable helmets that meet the safety standards. You don't have to spend an arm and a
And there are
leg to
smarter
be safe.
people, and there are dumber
Yeah.
people.
No, it's more like there are people who it's not true.
That's why
It's
mahal
not
yung mga
true.
helmet ni Earl. That's why si Earl,
Hindi.
pinakamahal yung mga helmet niya. Kasi matalino yan.
Hindi.
Kayang
Hindi. Hindi. I just like helmets, okay? Actually,
tayo
hinintay ko
Maki,
to.
pang yung madalas natin ginagamit, yung medyo mura. Di ba? Kasi base sa IQ yan. Mas
Hindi. Walang patama. Wala akong patama. Wala akong tinatamaan.
And that
My God.
explains Evo.
Oh my God.
My-
Pasado naman sa safety rating. Ikaw, Gilbert, yung question, how much is your head worth? What do you think about it?
How much do I think my head's worth? My head's worth. I value it as much as I can afford to get a expensive helmet. But then again, yun na nga, the most important, the best helmet that you have, the best safety helmet that you can get is the one that you'd want to wear all the time. So if you can get a lower price but certified helmet, and then you keep on wearing it all the time because it's comfortable, because you like how it looks, the style and everything, then that's the best helmet you can get. So I think that says a lot about what you value. Diba? It doesn't mean if you can't afford an expensive helmet, it means wala, it depends yun sa tao. If they can't afford it, then what are we gonna do about that?
Oo, may ganun talaga eh. Some
Yeah.
people can afford it, some people can't. So, as long ang nagustuhan ko ngayong gabi, naintindihan ko yung safety ratings na
Yeah.
kahit magkakaiba yung price, it's the same. Di ba? Tsaka important, lagi mong suot yung helmet. Di ba?
Yep.
Ayun, dami pa nating pwedeng pag-usapan, kaya lang, lagpas na tayo sa isang oras eh. Iba, what do you think?
Ako, basta alam ko mag-shopping ako. Delikado na pala yung helmet ko. And also, I mean, joking aside, there are ridiculously expensive helmets out there that have basically the same safety rating as I don't know what is the most affordable rated safe helmet that you guys have. That's like 6,000.
6,000 plus, yeah, mga ganun.
Yeah, 6,000. You can buy an incredibly safe helmet that is rated for 6,000, and the difference between the safety that you get from that helmet and one that's handcrafted in Italy is minimal, or mas safe pa siguro yung entry level. But you need to do your research. You need to fit the helmet. There's so many other factors that go into it, into making that decision. No? Ako, dati, basta carbon fiber, bilhin ko na. Ngayon, mukhang kailangan na...
Kailangan natin magli-liquidate kami mamaya. No?
Facebook Marketplace.
Mamaya tignan nyo yung marketplace namin. Marami kami ibebenta.
Yun, as we wrap up the show tonight, again, thank you, Earl, for being on the show. Are there any last words, any words of wisdom you want to share? Any last hirits at Gino Rufino?
Honestly, Gino, ang pogi mo talaga. Mag-open face ka na lang palagi para kita mukha mo.
Okay, how about you, Gilbert?
Yeah, just to conclude with this topic now, just to remind everybody now, when when you it's already riding in the Metro Manila streets is already the something the most dangerous thing that we can do already in the locally now. So just to try to keep safe, always wear a helmet, always wear safety gear, ride defensively, and yeah, keep the shiny side up.
Yeah.
Shiny
Shiny
And
side
side.
up.
you
Rubber
guys
side.
are TNR virgins. And we ask this of all of our TNR guests. Earl, what is your definition of Tunay na rider?
Tunay na rider. Oh, that's tough. So, ano yung tunay na rider? Someone who lives on a
Sigura.
motorcycle. Someone who lives on a motorcycle. Rather, and it's going into more like living as like living, not just literally living, but living life on a motorcycle. I think those people who truly enjoy riding and truly enjoy just being out there, whether in an open face or a full face helmet on two wheels, yan yung mga tunay na rider. Regardless
Yon.
of who you are.
Bigyan ng brief.
All right. Gilbert. Oh, syempre. Gilbert, Earl. Meron na kayo
Yun, no?
nito.
Yes!
Limited edition.
Yun.
Yes! Nahiya
Thank
naman si
you.
Calvin.
Excited kayo
Macbeth.
magkaganyan, no? Oh, di
Yeah,
ba?
may safety
Yes!
rating ba yan?
Meron. Macbeth yan eh.
Basta walang skid marks, okay na
Amoy
ako.
bak. All right, Gilbert.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Yon.
What is
What's your definition?
of a tunay na
Tunay
rider?
na rider. I think that's somebody who rides as much as they can, as often as they can, because they love riding. For no other reason. Not because that's the only thing that they can afford. Maybe a scooter or whatever. But basically because they're passionate about motorcycles, riding, tinkering with them, and yeah, basically that where it if it gives them the maximum enjoyment from riding the motorcycles, then yeah, I think that's that's a tunay na rider.
Oo, no? Dahil
Yon.
dyan, meron
Unless may event kami ni Maki sa Alabang and gabi na and may alak or walang alak and tinatabad na kami kasi umulan. All right. Aris, take us out.
Ayo guys, thank you ha. Ride safe and we'll see each other on the road. Maraming salamat kay Early and Gilbert Chan.
Yon.
Thank
And
you.
we'll be missing you, Aris, next week. Saan ka next week?
I'll be in Europe for more than a month. We'll be joining the BMW Motorrad Days. We'll drop by the World Vespa Day and
Wow.
also the Harley Davidson in Budapest.
Grabe.
Yeah. 125 years celebration nila.
Dala ka na
Wow.
maraming tunay na rider brief.
Oh,
Aris,
bigyan mo,
mauubusan
Aris,
ka
bigyan
niyan.
mo si Rosle, ha?
Oh, naman. Sure. They're gonna like it. They're gonna like it.
Dapat ganun mo yung brief sa mga signage, mga directional signage, di ba? Para tunay na rider world tour.
Panalo yun.
O pare, dadala ko nun. Papapost natin sila.
Sana all, Aris. Ako, nasa Visayas Conference Unity Ride ako next week.
Ayan,
This weekend, Automotive Festival, World Trade Center, may launch Bilmola helmets. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yun.